knows so much, so I'm sorry if I'll try to kind of be right in the middle. Assume that you know some, but not a lot of what I'll be talking about. So, yeah, so over the last 10 years, I've had the great pleasure of coordinating the development of the Driftless Trail. I started out my career with the Natural Resources Foundation of Wisconsin. I was their first employee and was there for 28 years. I always said that I did fundraising with an educational twist and education with a fundraising twist. Yeah, so something my big thing I can brag about is I started the field trip program, which some of you might be aware of, and then I hired Christine Tanzer. Being in Mount Horeb, I know a lot of you know Christine, so that was my big pride and joy of hiring her, because she's now runs like 250 field trips a year through that program. So yeah, so it's been really fun to see that grow. Yeah, so in a real short nutshell, Driftless Trail is a public access trail on mostly private lands in Iowa County, but it is a whole lot more than a hiking trail. So I want to run you all through, what this is and why we're doing it. So let's see. I just did this last time too. I have to do that. Yeah, okay, gotta use the mouse or the pad over. Yeah, so what I want to do is give you just a super brief Driftless Area 101. Ken isn't here tonight, is he? Ken Wade. Didn't want to say anything wrong, so Ken. Anyway, super brief Driftless Area 101. Who DALC is, who Driftless Area Land Conservancy is, and what we do, and why are we building a trail. Why the Driftless Trail, what it is, and then give you a tour of the trail, I think 4 segments that we have open now, give you a little pictorial tour, and then tell you how you can connect to the trail, all the resources that we have online to help you actually go and explore. So, yeah. Sorry for the awkwardness. I want to set the stage with Frank Lloyd Wright. As quirky as he was, he had just a really wonderful way with words, and he wrote a wonderful essay called Why I Love Wisconsin. And he starts out describing how he has traveled the world, but he says, every time I come back here, it is with the feeling there is nothing anywhere better than this. More dramatic elsewhere, perhaps more strange, more thrilling, more grand too, but nothing that picks you up in its arms and so gently, almost lovingly cradles you as do these southwestern Wisconsin hills. And I don't know about you, but that just really resonates. I've been to Norway and other Montana, big grand places, but there's just something about this driftless area that just is so comforting, And so that couple of sentences just really seems to capture why most of us probably love the driftless area so much. And part of why we love it too is that it is just so unique, globally unique. People here who live here are unique, kind of think outside the box. But ecologically and everything else, it's just a super globally unique area, and I don't know that a lot of people who live here really understand that. And it all started with how it was formed. Many millions of years ago, I don't know the numbers, but a very long time ago, we would be sitting at the bottom of an ocean near the equator. So most of the ground beneath us is ocean bottom. And then as the tectonic plates moved around, our area here moved north, and the climate cooled, and then glaciation happened. So there are 3 different glaciations that were around this area. The oldest, the first one was the dark green, the second one was the light green lobe that came and then receded, and then the third one looks like a larger one, was the gray one. So none of those glacial events hit the driftless area. When glaciers move, they pick up boulders and debris and so on, and then when they recede, they drop it, and that's called glacial drift. since glaciers never hit this area, that's why it's called the Driftless Area. But I want to point out, note where the Mississippi River is. We have bragging rights on this side of the river because we are truly driftless. It turns out that even though you cross the Mississippi River and go into Iowa and Minnesota, it looks like driftless area here, but they've done lots and lots, like thousands of cores to kind of tell this story, and the soil samples that they've taken on the other side discovered kind of put this story together. And so that was hit by the very first of the 3 glacial events. So it's not truly driftless over there. So there you go. If you ever talk to David Michelson, if you ever call the land on the other side of the Mississippi driftless, he will chew you out. So I'm saving you from that. I learned the hard way. So here's just a relief map of what it looks like. And everything within the white dotted line is the true driftless area. And so our project area here, and where we're sitting now, is to the right of the A in driftless area. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say about that. So above ground, the kind of the telltale signature features of the driftless area are also globally unique. You don't see the trout streams like we have here in the Lowry Creek Valley much outside the driftless area. Pine relics are very unique, and that the plant communities that are at the top of these rock cliffs are more like what you would see in northern Wisconsin, northern Minnesota, because fire never reached them. As the climate warmed and the savannas and prairies formed around like the bottom of the rocks and became very fire-dependent communities, fire had a hard time reaching the pines on top, and so that's why those natural communities were preserved at the top of pine relics. So another very unique thing about the driftless area. And of course we have the steep, dry hillside prairies. Some of you who were on that Master Naturalist walk, you know, Linda, yeah, and Greg, yeah. So, do you recall, where's Linda? Oh, do you recall that we found these caterpillars? And they're really funky, bright yellow and red caterpillars, and we thought, none of us had seen them before. And these were botanists that they were ecologists that we were with. So we thought, yet another invasive. So I ran this past my friend Angus Mossman, who's a great entomologist, and he looked it up and he told me that these are Datana, D-A-T-A-N-A moths, and that's what the adult looks like. And they're not very common in Wisconsin. I don't know if we're at the edge of their range or what, but so that was on, this is the Welsh Hills, one of the Welsh Hills on the Taliesin property. And as they've been restoring these over the last 20 years, they have found the diversity on these particular prairie remnants is just incredible. Just some of the best quality prairie remnants in the region. So these are just a couple of things. So the Datana moths, the bird's foot violet obviously is not that rare, and then ladies' tresses. But yet another kind of unique natural community that's not very common outside of the driftless area. And of course savannas. You know, savannas used to cover the lower 2/3 of the state of Wisconsin, and now less than 0.5%, I think, of the original oak savannas that remain. And outside of this is truly a globally unique natural community. You don't see oak savannas very, very much elsewhere at all. And if you're lucky enough to have red-headed woodpeckers, I know all of you can resonate with this, when you start doing a oak savanna restoration, you have the thought in the back of your mind, if we build it, they will come. And when they come, it is a real thrill. So, yeah, so this is our bird feeder, actually. And this is our property as well. Yeah, so, but the really interesting, most unique thing about this area is the amount of land here that is privately owned. It's something that when we first started this project and started doing the concept plan, I ran across a Wisconsin Public Forum interactive map where you hover over every county and it tells you what percentage of that county is public land. And the entire northern third of Wisconsin, it's all between 30 and 60% public land. So, you know, we can count on the county, the state, the feds to manage a lot of that land and to provide us all these trails to go skiing and snowmobiling and whatever on. Down here is like the complete opposite. In the 7 counties that we work in southwestern Wisconsin, it ranges from Greene County, which is less than 1% public land, to Iowa County, which is 4.4% public land. So on average, in the 7 counties that we work in, 3% public land. That means that 97% of this land is up to private landowners to manage, which makes what you guys do and what our organization does all the more important. You know, providing you, all of you know, that doing restoration or farming is incredibly labor intensive and incredibly expensive. And so creating that, put the context within which we're working, just kind of hit like a hammer on the head, you know, wow. There's not a lot of resources out there that are publicly driven to help landowners manage land. So that, you know, all of this kind of, I wanted to create the context within which we are building this trail and within which you are doing your work. Just to kind of set the stage for why what we're doing is so important. So here's our story. Driftless Area Land Conservancy, our mission is to maintain and enhance the health, diversity, and beauty of southwest Wisconsin's natural and agricultural landscape through permanent land protection and restoration, and to improve people's lives by connecting them to the land and to each other. For the first 15 years, it was mainly the first part of that sentence. We'll get to that. We didn't add the kind of connecting. Oh, thank you. Yeah, dry mouth here. We didn't really add the connecting to land and each other until we were well into it, which turns out that's like the most important thing. Thank you. So here we are by the numbers. This is what we have accomplished so far, and we're 26 years in, 25 years really, into it. We have protected 10,800 acres with conservation easements and acquisitions. We've got 68 conservation easements and a really full pipeline now. We've got just as Chuck was mentioning, we've got a great easement staff team now. Steph Judge, Hannah Ornelas, and then we have a full-time person just monitoring easements now. 9 miles of the Driftless Trail as of the end of April. And another like 12, somewhere around 15 miles planned. And then 6 nature preserves that are open to the public. We've got a staff of 10 people and a large and growing base of volunteers now too. So we're on a very, very exciting growth curve. Excuse me. So the areas that, if you can tell, the counties that are shaded are the ones that we work in. So we work in all of Lafayette, Iowa, and Richland County, and then parts of Sauk, Dane, Greene, and Grant counties. So for the first 15 years, I think a lot of land trusts start out this way. They just want to build your portfolio of easements. So we basically said, here's where we are, come and ask us for an easement. And so anyone who walked through the door, we were just kind of opportunistic about it. And through doing that, though, we built a portfolio of 40 plus easements, protecting 6,000 acres by the year 2015. So it was cool that there was that much interest by landowners out there in protecting their property. But then, then we started to do a little bit more strategic in starting to buy preserves that we wanted to serve as what we call ambassador properties. So the ambassador properties are what where we model land restoration and management that we'd like to see throughout the Driftless area. And we also provide public access to nature, so through trails and so on. And so those are the kind of the two primary purposes of our nature preserves. So we started with Erickson Conservation Area in Argyle in 2012, and then went, I'll just kind of go around the circle. Wild Oaks Preserve is in southern Dane County there, and I forget how many acres it is, but we're developing a hiking trail there and also mountain biking trails. We're doing our most active restoration at that wetland. There's a beautiful, or at that property, and there's a beautiful wetland there as well. Let's see, Bloomfield Prairie, if you haven't been there, it's a beautiful 400-acre prairie about 5 miles west of Dodgeville. It's been owned by the county for a long time, and we're now co-managing it with a friends group, and the county, I don't understand everything that's going on there, so I won't even try to explain. But bottom line is that we're helping to manage that property now too, and if you haven't been there, it's just gorgeous. Upland sandpipers for the birders out there. Yeah, really nice quality prairie, and a large piece of it. Down here is a Sardison Forest Preserve. That's a tiny little 12-acre piece. That's just a gem that's right outside of Mineral Point, just on the other side of 18. You park there and then go down into this tiny little valley, but it's just very, very special. We have a trail there now, and we've been doing restoration there as well. Big Rock Reserve, if you know or knew Jim and Rose Syme, they had several properties throughout that part. Jim was from Boscobel, and over his lifetime he obtained, I don't know, 5 or 6 properties anyways, and then toward the end of his life he started to give them to Mississippi Valley Conservancy and Driftless Area Land Conservancy. So they donated, it's like a 230-acre beautiful preserve right outside of the Snow Bottom. It's kind of a part of the whole Snow Bottom complex. So we're just, that just happened last year, so we're in the process of trying to create plans for that. And then Wintergreen is our big star right now. So in December, we purchased a 245-acre Wintergreen property, which is right on the lower Wisconsin Riverway, just south of Spring Green. It's adjacent to the Taliesin Estate. Gorgeous, gorgeous property, and I'll when I give you the tour of our trail segments, I'll talk a little bit more about that. But this is a really very exciting opportunity. So those are our what we call ambassador preserves again. Then a very interesting thing started happening right around 2014. Between the years 2014 and 2016 was a real inflection point for this organization. That was never in any strategic plan. First of all, the Cardinal Hickory Creek power line was proposed, and immediately a very strong grassroots group got going on the ground with the signs and just getting people very agitated and organized against this power line. But they did not have the wherewithal to fight it at the legal level, and so they came to DALC and said, can you help us on that level? And so we partnered with the Environmental Law and Policy Institute, and it was a very long battle and so on, and just last year, I think, was the final nail in the coffin, so to speak. I'm not going to go into that whole horrible story, but we put a lot of effort into that, hired Chuck Tennyson to lead the charge on that, and we did everything the right way. We have no regrets about what we did, but again, we're not successful. Then the Southern Driftless Grasslands Group, we started out as the Military Ridge Conservation Area, Nature Conservancy, TPE, there were like 18 different agencies and organizations involved in managing this Military Ridge Conservation Area that just then kind of grew into the whole Southern Grasslands region. And they were really floundering, and so we were part of the leadership team then that we kind of redid some more planning and then hired Cindy Becker, you all know Cindy Becker, to lead up to coordinate that. And bit by bit, we got it turned around. We kind of serve as their fiscal agent. And we house the coordinator, Andy Bingle. If you want a great talk, ask Andy to come and talk about what they're doing. Now they're going great guns. They're just doing wonderful things. So that happened during that time as well. Then residents within the Lowry Creek watershed, a very progressive group that wanted to start being more proactive about managing their land. This is like everything within the viewshed of Taliesin and the whole Lowry Creek watershed going south from there. And so they came to us and said, can you help us with the planning for this? And maybe just here's what we want to do, but we need someone to kind of structure us and organize us and make it, make it more formal. So I got in on the ground floor on that one as well, and I've been coordinating that partnership ever since, and we're doing great things there as well. So, and then Driftless Trail was David Clutter, our former executive director, who's now at NRF, came up with this idea as he was driving back and forth from Madison to Dodgeville every day, realizing that outside of being in your car, you can't get into the driftless area, So he thought maybe if we develop this trail, a lot of people go to Europe and understand the whole concept of a public access trail on private lands and so on. So he started just talking up the idea a little bit with people he knew, and one thing led to another. I came on board when they were in the middle of the developing the concept plan. So I'll go into that in just a minute. But anyway, so all that happened. None of it was in any strategic plan. But it kind of made the point that a land trust, if you're gonna do conservation at the landscape level, you got to do more than just easements. And there's no one else, no other niche within the whole conservation world to do this kind of thing. I mean, this is what land trusts should be doing. And so I really give David a lot of credit and our board at the time for being nimble enough to say, yeah, even though we haven't put a ton of thought into this, this really is what we should be doing. These are the community needs that we need to help fulfill. Right around that time, the Land Trust Alliance was kind of pushing this whole idea, saying, if you're not getting communities involved and in love with the landscape that you're working in, that has to happen. And so they came up with what, I found this on their website once and just really love it. They're basically, their definition of community conservation or community projects, whatever, is they respond to community needs, they connect people with place and with each other, they create opportunities to get involved, they energize the community and provide lasting and meaningful impact, they create new partnerships, and they provide public access to nature, which we all need. And so none of that has anything to do with invasive plants, It's like we have to be doing this, or we're just kind of losing it all. And the Driftless Trail, even though our board wasn't crazy about the idea to start with, it just knocks all of those out of the park. And so that's been just really exciting to see over the last 10 years. So that's a lot to lay the foundation for the main topic. But I just really want to make the point that we live in a super special place and that this trail is way more than a hiking trail. So the grand vision is to connect the Lower Wisconsin Riverway with Governor Dodge State Park and Mounds State Park. Another sip of water here. So the idea is to have it be a through hike, and eventually, if we do it all, it could be up to 100 miles. We'll see how it all goes. So to create a through hike and to really allow people to get down into the nooks and crannies of the Driftless area, to really get to know it, to be next to a trout stream, and next to a spring, and all the things that really make the Driftless area so special. So that's the grand vision. Initially, David got a hold of someone at the National Park Service, Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Program, And so they spent, Angie Tornez for over in Milwaukee, spent 2 years with us going through the concept plan and helping us with the public meetings and so on. And we also worked with a really great advisory team during that time. So with Angie and the advisory team. So developing the concept plan was just wonderful, really, really rewarding. I haven't looked at it in a long time, but you know, when you go through any kind of strategic planning process, you remember the thought process and you just remember it, you know. So the actual piece of paper, the document, is great, but it's not something that we refer to all the time. But it's stuck in our minds. So part of that was doing public meetings in Spring Green, Dodgeville, Barnveld, Blue Mound. And so we got enough, it wasn't a huge turnout, but we got enough positive feedback that we decided to really go for it. And at least, you know, kind of do this piecemeal, so if we only get 10 miles and then we just can't go any further, at least we have 10 miles of trail. So that was our attitude. So, progress to date. So we started out at the Weaver Road, here I can use there. Nan Fay at the time was going through developing a conservation easement on her 600-acre, I think it's 600, anyways, beautiful farm just up and over County ZZ from she's right across the road from Bethel Horizon and Governor Dodge State Park. So we hadn't even decided that we were going to do this project yet, but she loved the idea. And she said, hey, I never go down to this valley. And she had, this was in 2014, was that when that tornado came through? It was on the ground for 25 miles and went right down Pleasant Ridge. So down in the valley was just a heap of trees. So she did some salvage logging. So she said, I never go down this valley. There's a logging road there now. So why don't we, in my easement, just say, okay, in this zone here, in this valley, if this trail ever, because this idea ever happens, then you can go ahead and develop a trail there. So she's like the perfect guinea pig, and I keep calling her a guinea pig, and she loves it. She couldn't have asked for a better person, better landowner to start with this whole thing. And then at one of our, I think it was a Dodgeville meeting, Ann Zimran came. She and her husband David own a large property over on Knobs Road. They go hiking in Europe every summer, I think, and so they totally get the idea of a public access trail on crossing private lands. And so they said, sign us up. So we got 2.7 miles of trail on their beautiful grass-fed beef farm. And then as you add a mile walking on Knobs Road, it's a 4-mile loop. So we did that. That was number 2. And then right away, when we floated this idea, the Frank Lloyd Wright Foundation said this is totally within our vision, our mission. Frank Lloyd Wright would have loved this. So they developed, with our help as well, the Welsh Hills Trail, which has been open now for like 5 years. You park at the upper lot at the visitor center. It's a nice flat trail that bisects all three, and I'll show you a picture in a minute. But anyways. So that was developed and open, but we didn't brand that as a Driftless Trail. That's going to happen here in April. We always knew it was going to be part of the Driftless Trail, but we're now making that happen. So anyway, so then we went to Phoebe Point, which is right across the road from the Taliesin House on County C, right on the river. So it's just a 1.1, what we call a lollipop loop, but it's just a really sweet trail with wonderful views and so on. So that was that, and then for the last year and a half or so, we've been working on the Welsh Hills Ridge Trail, which is just gorgeous. So from the parking lot at the visitor center, we zigzag up the north end of the Welsh Hills Ridge, and you'll walk a mile, flat mile, and then go zigzag down the south end to get to Unity Chapel. But you can do the whole loop. It's a 2.6 mile loop. So we're going to open that on April 18th. So I'll say more about that in a minute. So that's where we're at right now. Oh, okay. And then the yellow lines here are where people, landowners have given us verbal commitment that they want to host the trail. So we have going all the way down. The next step then is from Unity Chapel, goes south through the Lowry Creek watershed, and then keep going south through the southern part of the Lowry Creek watershed. So getting all the way down to here is like Farlook or Clay Hill Road. And then this last year, or like 2 years ago, there's a family that owns 2,800 acres on the other side of the road. And they've owned it for a very long time, and they're now in the process of trying to figure out what to do with it. They really want it as conservation land. They're talking to all the right people, and really we so admire how they're going about this, making sure that it ends up in the right hands. But the one decision that they've made is that they do want the Driftless Trail. So we now have 12 miles of trail on that property. And then the next one, to the south of that, right as you get to Mounds Road, is Tim Wright and Karen Elsie. Tim Wright is Frank Lloyd Wright's grandson, so he loves this idea. So they're in, and that ends up like directly across the road from the Knobs Road Trail. So how the stars have just aligned, just so beautifully. So yeah, so that's how we make that long, squiggly line. And we know that most people like to do is like 2-hour hikes at a time, and so we're designing this in a way that you can go out and just do a 2-hour hike and not have to do the whole through hike and ferry vehicles and so on. Ice Age Trail folks have their angels that they have a group of volunteers that actually pick people up and take them back to their car. They've got this system down. They've been at it for 60 years, and they're our mentors. They've been so wonderful in helping us get this started. So big kudos to them. But we're not there yet. So. And this is the conservation value of this trail. So it's a very messy looking map, but basically everything that's in color is a high value, has high ecological value based on the State Wildlife Action Plan and Nature Conservancy's regional planning, and we went to lots of different reports to create this map. So basically, everywhere the trail goes, it's going to be protected by easements, either a trail easement or a whole property conservation easement. So we describe this as being a conservation corridor within a corridor. If you're an ecologist at all, you know that with climate change, the rule of thumb is that by developing ecological corridors, we are creating climate resiliency. And so the big corridor here is these are the grassland region down there. It's the biggest and highest quality grassland region in at least the upper Midwest. And then the middle part there is Oak Savanna Conservation Opportunity Area. And then you come up to right against the lower Wisconsin State Riverway, which is now a Ramsar wetland of international importance, another globally important wetland or area. And then way up there, then this Variable Hills is the upper right-hand corner. So the places, the red slash marks are the highest quality ecological areas. So our project area is right in the middle of all that. So we're making this sort of protective loop within this larger corridor. And the really cool thing is that we know that a lot of the landowners we work with are not ecologists like us. And so as we're cutting all the honeysuckle, and there's a lot of it out there to dig the trail tread, we are making some pretty amazing discoveries. You know, just the types of plants and some really unique ground layer where there's like a seep, like the Zimmerman's property of the Knobs Road Trail. Its entire hillside is like one big seep. And there's club moss and just really unique stuff that's right on the ground layer that you didn't see unless you got rid of all the honeysuckle. And so every time we'll copses of really nice oak savanna here and there. So they're physicians and graziers. They're not ecologists, sorry. And so anyways, when we make these discoveries, we make sure that we tell the landowners about it. And not like a hit over the head thing, but whoa, isn't this cool? Look what we found. Just to kind of get them excited and make them realize maybe I do have something really special here that I never really knew. And with the Knobs Road property, they had been working on a 30-foot wide trail easement through that entire property. And at the 11th hour, they decided to go for a whole property conservation easement. So, and I don't know what our comments, what role that played. but anyways, this is very exciting. Ice Age Trail folks have told us too that it's not uncommon to have a trail easement turn into a whole property conservation easement when people just get really jazzed about what they have and learn about what they have. So yeah, so that's the real value of this as a conservation strategy. And it took our board a long time to realize that. They were a hard sell, understandably. It's a big, ambitious, expensive project. But they are totally on board now, having seen some of our successes here. So this is the best we can do in terms of just a really general route that we're going to be taking. So that it'll kind of split at the Kate's Farm and make this big loop, and then eventually get over to Blue Mound, and then way in the future, just a step-by-step thing. The blue hash mark area, we might stop with the solid blue line, and we might continue it, you know, up into more like try to connect the, was it Pleasant Valley Conservancy, right? Yeah. You know, just try to connect the dots a little bit more, going up on that east side there. So it's just a bit by bit. And if you own land within this blue area, don't panic. We're not going to come and knock on your door. It is a totally voluntary thing. We have no power of eminent domain. The government's not involved. It's just a private thing. And the super duper exciting thing is that if you look at the wintergreen property is where the star is up there. We're kind of treating that as the big trailhead for the whole project. From there all the way down to these fisheries areas there is a contiguous corridor of privately owned lands where some level of restoration is going on, or like regenerative agriculture, you know, something that's really good for the land. And it's well over 5,000 acres, and it's just so cool that we have this huge nature preserve basically owned by all these landowners where really great things are happening, and now we're giving people access to actually go through it. So yeah, so it's so cool. Yeah. So that's the big eye, the big picture of where it's going. So let's start the tour. So wintergreen. This is a property that sat idle for like 30 years. It used to be, this bowl in here used to be a ski area for what, like maybe 10 years or so. It was like the steepest slopes in Wisconsin, so really good skiers in the area that were creating good steep slopes would come and yeah, so it had quite a reputation, but didn't last very long. And so, and then Wes Peters, who was Frank Lloyd Wright's right-hand man for so many years, and designed a 7-story hotel where that building is right now. Can you imagine? This is driving down 23 outside of Spring Green toward the river. And so now it's this nice low-profile, very Frank Lloyd Wright-ish building. But we saw the original plans that Wes Peters came up with, and that would have been such an eyesore. So it's really nice that that never happened. Anyways, so this whole property, 245 acres with this 30,000 square foot building, have just been sitting there idle and hosting a few weddings now and then since like 1992. So, so there's been this weird hot potato, like it's an incredible property, why can't anybody do something profitable with it? So, long story short, we came along and Terry Shiflett had purchased it first and refurbished a lot of the like HVAC system and so on. And then he really wanted to hand it over to DNR finally be a visitor center for the lower Wisconsin Riverway, but DNR didn't want it. And so, anyways, so, so we have this. So now we're in the process of planning, you know, we've done a lot of community meetings and so on, what to do with this. It's going to be part office space for some conservation groups, not just us, part event space, educational space, you know, trying to make it a multi-purpose community resource. So that's where we're at with that. We're going to spend this next year just getting to know the land. We know that there are 3 federally endangered bats there. So we're going to start getting in on the Great Wisconsin Bat Count now in June. Yeah, so we're just going to say, if you're an ecologist and you have a really special expertise, come and talk to me or give Jen a call at our office. We're kind of looking for people that can just wander the property and look for what they're good at looking for. So we kind of do kind of a long-term bio blitz of what did we buy. Just a couple more pictures. Here's the view from the building. Spring Green Preserve in the back, some really nice beach along the river, rock faces that go right down into the river. There's an eagle nest there. Yeah, so quite a jump. And the community is very grateful for our taking the risk and buying this. So right next door to Wintergreen is Phoebe Point. It's all on the same ridge, and so we're hoping that this year we'll make a connector trail from the Wintergreen building to Phoebe Point. And again, Phoebe Point is this lollipop loop that just, this is Phoebe, the guy on the bench is at Phoebe Point. You look down the river, you see the Welsh Hills up to the right in front of them. This is another overlook along the trail where you look down the Lower Creek watershed and over the Taliesin property and then over Wyoming Valley. Yeah, so it's just a very, very, very nice trail. And again, the Frank Lloyd Wright Foundation owns that. So so Phoebe Point will be just to the left off of the screen here, and looks that those are the 3 Welsh Hills. And so Frank Lloyd Wright, the house, the main house is on the other side of that little knob. And so he would look out his studio at the 3 Welsh Hills. And so that's why they were very, very special to him. So like 20 years ago, they started to restore the Welsh Hills. They were restoring everything on the property to the 1950s, right before Frank Lloyd Wright died. Anytime you start a restoration project, being a building or a piece of land, you kind of, either are restoring the processes, which is a lot of my view, but at Frank Lloyd Wright Foundation, they wanted to look like the 1950s when Wright died. So anyway, so they went and they found aerial photos from the 1950s and kind of drew their burn breaks around accordingly, and yeah, so. But they've done great work, and those used to be solid cedar, and now they're, as I said earlier, just really very high quality. Yeah, so and this is the visitor centers on the left-hand side of Welsh Hills there, right on the river. And again, we're going to open it on April 18th, so either come for a guided tour that day or come anytime after that and hike on your own. And these are just more pictures from the Welsh Hills, from the trail, especially the Ridge Trail. Just really, really nice views, especially now with leaf off. See forever. Then Mounds Road, again, this is a grass-fed beef operation. He does rotational grazing, so every once in a while when you go down in the valley there, you might encounter about 100 cows. They're friendly. So we built the stiles over the fences there so people can get up and over when the gates are closed. We built this beautiful 8-truss bridge over the trout stream that's there. You walk through a orchard. One of the more challenging parts of this is that every property in southwest Wisconsin has a group of hunters on it. And the landowners, if they're not hunters themselves, they really like their hunters because they usually have this barter system where the hunters help them paint their barn and do all kinds of maintenance for them. So So the Zimmermans are kind of caught between the group of 10 hunters that are not always excited about our trail, and they love the trail. So there have been some interesting back and forth. The orchard is the candy shop for their deer. So hikers like to pick apples. Who doesn't? So they got all their cameras out there, and they know who's picking apples. Yeah. So, anyways, one of the more challenging parts of this project in this particular landscape is how do you make everybody happy, especially hunters. So it's all working out. We were road segment. Again, this is Nan Fade. We're going to start at one of the highest points around. She claims it's the second highest point behind Blue Mountain. Anyways, really like 15-mile view all the way up to the river. Just beautiful. And then you go around an ag field that Michael Dolan from 7 Seas Organic Farm is cropping. So it's interesting to get out. So you go down, Nan keeps saying, you walk down her fence line, you've got the beautiful regenerative agriculture on the left and the commodity agriculture on the right. So you've got a really nice comparison there for educational purposes. Anyways, then you go down into this valley that's just a world by itself. And we had Dave Michelson there. You go down through 6 different geological layers to get down to the bottom of the valley. And so it's just another short but very special hike. Great colors in the autumn, great birds, and more of the deep forest birds, if anyone here is a bird. So next up is Lowry Creek. This is looking south through the Lowry Creek Valley. The trail is going to go past Unity Chapel, and they're refurbishing Unity Chapel right now too, as they're adding a bathroom, and they really want to turn that into an event space again. So it's going to be exciting to see how that turns out. So we go past Unity Chapel, and we start going up this ridge and down through the wooded ridge to Savannah Institute land. And then again, the green area is where Michael Dolan pastures he has Murray Gray cows, and he pastures all of his bulls there. And they're like the golden retriever of the cow world. I learned from him that the smaller stature cows are friendlier and taste better and just more laid back than Angus. So there you go. Anyways, and then we'll keep going down on the edge of the wetland, which I just love, and up through those trees, the pine trees, and then back down on Savannah Institute's South Farm, which is now grazing paddocks, a different kind of grazing for dairy cows. And then from there, then you can go down, keep going south through the Lowry Creek watershed, which is also a fabulous trout fishing stream. It's a Class 1 trout fishing stream. And then going to the left then goes on to that really large property. So that's kind of where that big loop starts. Yeah, so hopefully maybe next year we'll do the construction there. Kind of going like 3 miles at a time here down that valley. Just want to give a shout out to the trail hosts. You know, this would not be possible without people who are willing to share their land with the public.
I hate to interrupt, Barb, but you wander so far. You're out of the viewfinder all the time on my camera. I could keep you a little bit more in the center. We'll see you more.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's good, right? That's fine.
I'm trying to stay out of their way.
Hey, when you leave your computer, take 2 steps instead of 3.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so just to give you a taste of who is in on hosting this trail. First of all, one of the first questions I asked the Ice Age Trail folks, Kevin Thusius in particular, why do people host? What do they like hosting? What do they like about hosting the Ice Age Trail? And he said, without skipping a beat, giving back. He said many people who own land in this area understand they're very fortunate to own land, and they really do want to share it if it can be done in a way that doesn't interfere with how they enjoy their land. So giving back and sharing with the community is reason number 1. Interacting with trail users is really fun. More eyes on the ground for stewardship and discovery. For organizations and businesses is a wonderful way to tell their story. So when we go through Savannah Institute land and all the nonprofits that are hosting this trail, we're going to be telling their story too. So so it's a really exciting. Patrick Michaels down here has Pick Your Own Blueberries, so we'll be going right past his place. Sand Bay, Butler grass-fed, the Zimmermans sell their beef under the label of Butler grass-fed beef. You can get that at Catherine's in Dodgeville. Savannah Institute is doing so much between the grazing and all their alley plantings and whatnot. So we'll be telling their story a lot. Franklin Wright Foundation, obviously, is a huge backer and a big partner. That's the Cates Family Farm. Dick wanted to be here tonight. I'm going to read a quote from him on the next slide. And then Taliesin Preservation, they operate they operate the tours at Taliesin. They own the visitor center, and they own like 15 acres right around the visitor center. So we're on their property too. So these are just around the Spring Green area. There are others as well. Yeah, so Dick sent me this today. He got bacterial pneumonia on a Disney cruise recently, so he was very sad to not be here because he was really looking forward to it. This is a picture of the Cates farm, Cates Family Farm. Must be an old one because now they have it painted, the Cates Family Farm on the barn. He says, "My family is all in with the gift of sharing this magical landscape and can hardly wait to assist walkers, birders, skiers, and more who love this land as much as we do, to have an opportunity to make it a part of their joy of living." This is really nice. And again, Dick and Kim do a lot of hiking over in Europe too, so they have been on the other side. They understand what a gift it is to be able to walk across someone else's property. So anyways, I love the sentiment there as well. Then with conservation easement, Chuck already touched on this. It's a voluntary legal agreement between two parties that permits certain land uses to protect conservation values. I think in some cases you can have positive management rights, but I don't know too much about that. So anyway, so the process that we use, and if anyone who's interested in thinking about hosting the trail or considering it, we start with a one-on-one meeting with me or the future trails. We're in the process of hiring a trails specialist, if you know any trail people. We're accepting applications now. So the first conversation is with the trail, whoever the coordinator of the Driftless Trail is, and then Steph Judge, who is our easement person, just to kind of say, okay, here are the basics that we don't want. No commitment right now, but this is the information that you should consider in making this decision. If you want to continue the conversation, give us a call. If not, that's just fine too. So that's step number one. If it does go further, then Steph and Hannah go and talk more about the nuts and bolts of easements, and it just keeps going from there. And this is just an example. You can do a whole property easement that defines a specific zone that's a trail area. Or you can also have a trail easement can be anywhere from 30 feet to 120 feet. We always try to make it 120 feet wide in case we never need to have to reroute the trail due to erosion or whatever. So those are just the basics, what an easement looks like. Yeah, and then the volunteers that we are, just the different partnerships that we have developed through this are just so varied and just keep coming. This is Angie Tornes from the National Park Service. This is Willie Bittner with Great Lakes Trail Builders, who is another internet. He does buildings or trails in Patagonia. He rebuilt Stairway Portage. If any of you are canoers in the Boundary Waters, that's like with no power. Monumental task. Yeah, anyways, he's based in La Crosse, and so we're super lucky to have him as a partner. That's Joel on staff with the Franklin Wright Foundation, and a volunteer behind him, Greg. Yeah, we had, and Greg Jones. Yeah, you probably built the kit. We've been making bench kits, and now we have a new design. We've been making bench kits and then having volunteers put them together. And this is, when you helped out, it was during COVID, and so one Facebook post, all these moms were calling my kiddies something to do. Like, where can I get this kit? So this kid was in Wanakee, so it was fun. Yeah, and then this group of board members and trail hosts. This is Dave Clutter right here. He had this idea to start with. Bill Menke, another stars aligning thing. Bill works for the North Country Trail Association and happened to retire in Dodgeville. He absolutely loves designing trail, and he still goes up north 1 week a month to help with crews up the North Country Trail. He's designed our entire trail so far, pro bono. So, again, amazing how these things have been happening. Neighbors got together and helped to build the stiles over at the Zimmerman's farm. And then we started out using the WizCorp program, and they were getting really expensive, and we decided to up our volunteer group and recruitment instead. But I just looked like yesterday, I thought maybe the WizCorp group had died with the federal chaos that we have right now. But no, they're going strong. So I was really, really, really happy to see that. Because those youth, maybe some of you experienced this right out of college, you're not sure what to do. Spending a year with this type of a crew is just a game changer for so many people that age. So yeah, hopefully someday we'll get back to working with WizCorp. And then again, that's Bill Menke supervising them. The part I'm really excited about is the interpretive planning. As we've been putting this trail together, you may have gotten the idea just in the last hour here that the stories that can be told along this trail and the educational value of it is just amazing. And so I kind of instigated, knowing that I was going to get out the door, I wanted to be part of developing the interpretive plan for this trail. So long story short, from June until January, a small working group worked on it, and we did our little theme meetings, like 2 hours with experts like Sam, came and downloaded their expertise for us so we could kind of capture that. So these are the themes that jumped out: geology, human history, ecology and stewardship, and agriculture. And so as we go forward with our interpretive planning and design, those will be the things that really pop out. So within each of these, we got from our experts, what do you think is the most important thing we should say about ecology and stewardship to people that are hiking this trail? So we got a great foundation of information now to work with, and now we're in talks with Stevens Point. The Schmeekley Reserve at Stevens Point has a really great interpretive consulting firm or business. I mean, they do national monuments, national parks. I mean, really, they do international work. He said, now we don't have to go to Alaska. It would be great to drive 2 hours to our project. So they've got a wonderful gallery and portfolio online, so we're really hoping that this will work out. So they would take us, so we now have our document that says this is what we want to say. The next phase is how and where do we want to say that. And then the third phase then will be implementation. So I might, depending on who they hire, I might stick around for helping this, see this planning through. So it happens to be my passion. Okay, we're at the final thing now. How do you engage? So online we have these PDFs. I would have brought paper copies of our trail guides tonight, but we ran out. We're going to do a big printing here in a couple weeks, but you can go online and either view them online or print them out and take them with you. So that's what the kind of basic format of our trail guides. If you're at all interested in hosting the Driftless Trail, we've got like a 4-page color PDF on our trail, our website that talks a little bit more about that. And then this is our kind of our FAQ, landowner guide to protecting your property. I'd be very interested to have, maybe there's a lot of overlap. Yeah, so, so those are the kind of things that are online. There's a lot more information too, but that's the website. Upcoming events to prepare for the grand opening. We're having a work day on April 11th. If you're into this one, will be mostly just kind of cutting trees and tossing things away from the trail. Not so much tread work. What else do we have? Anyways, wide variety of things that we need to do to prepare the Welsh Hills Trail, Ridge Trail for opening on the 18th. So if you're into that kind of thing, come for all or part of the day on April 11th and you get a little bit of a flavor of that. April 18th, we'll do a few remarks at 10 o'clock and then mostly just guided hikes until 1 o'clock. Let's see, then May 2nd, Willie Bittner is going to come and do a trail building workshop. So if trail building is at all of interest to you, usually he does kind of a chalk talk for a couple hours in the morning. And we're going to polish up a couple of roughed-in sections of the Welsh Hills Ridge Trail that day. So as a way to learn how to use the tools and finish up the trail at the same time. So that's it. 8:15, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Want to take a few questions? See if anybody there's one. Want to take a question or two, Barb?
Will some of the trail then go across publicly owned land?
So I think the tack that we're going to take, it's all just state land, and we keep waiting for the DNR to come out with their master plan for this whole region. They're doing all the properties at once, and we submitted comments like 3 years ago. And so whenever that comes out, then we submitted language that for the fisheries areas and the state parks, can there be something about the Driftless Trail that allows the Driftless Trail to coexist with existing trails in the park?
You don't have a sense right now of where they are with that?
No. I actually asked Georgie Steele, who was in charge of it a couple weeks ago, and she said, maybe next fall. So, but right now what we're going to try to do is we know where we have to enter our entrance points to the state parks and getting the trail there, and then people can use those trails, whether we co-sign them as being part of the Driftless Trail or not, who knows? But that's to allow a through hike anyways, where we have these entry points for the state parks that we want to get to. Yeah.
What are your current biggest challenges with the trail?
Easements are a big thing, and the part that Chuck didn't really mention is that it's a financial burden. We're trying to come up with ways to help people financially. I mean, it's hard to say, hey, can you allow the public on your land, and can you spend $15,000 or whatever it was to do that? So that's we totally understand that's a hurdle, and so.
Do you still think it's going to be $1 million to $1.5 million to construct the whole trail?
Our team has come up with a cost per mile, and I'm not real sure. It's so variable. Depends on if it's hand built or machine built, and I'm not sure where our fundraising team came up with that. I'm not sure how they got those numbers. I'm sure they're well founded, but I can't even tell you what it is. It's a lot per mile, but.
And that landowner funding scheme, is that mostly like an unrestricted endowment, so it's kind of a pooled resource for the entirety of the trail, or do you kind of split it up by easement?
I know that with easements, there's a certain part of it is an easement defense fund,
Okay.
and that's pooled. And I'm not sure with either conservation easements or trail easements if there's also, I know TPE does this, they have you set up an endowment fund for your property specifically, and they use like 4 or 5% of that a year for those costs. I don't know. I kind of shied away from easements because it is so complicated, and I know my brain doesn't go there very well, so I'm sorry that I can't answer the easement questions very clearly. Yeah.
I remember when the Lower Wisconsin Riverway was created, there was quite a dedicated group against it.
Oh, flow. No, plow, yes.
Lots of voices.
Yes.
And I wondered if you had encountered so far any adverse feelings about this.
No, because we're not government and it's completely voluntary. With the Lower Wisconsin Riverway, it was more, okay, this is our project area, and people knew that DNR wanted to purchase.
Rumor is powerful, though.
I'm sorry?
Rumor is powerful, that fears.
Yeah, true. Meaning you think that attitude could develop if
Yes.
we're not out in front
The more
of it?
people hear about it,
Yes.
it's not government, but it is people trying to tell us what to do with our land. That impulse is really strong on the
It
part
is.
of many people, and I
Yes.
just wondered if you had encountered that.
We've encountered that with certain landowners that have told us, no, I don't want it. Some are nicer than others that say, and we're like, yeah, that's totally cool, yeah. So, but I think you're really correct in saying we need to be more proactive with that messaging, so people aren't afraid of us. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, well, day 20, so, one more.
Do you foresee any kind of user fee, or is it just going to be open to the public to jump on and hike when they
Just
want?
open to the public to jump on, yeah. Donations are super welcome, but we want this to be accessible to everybody, yeah.
Thank you, Barb.
Thank you.